Hey there everyone, that sexy nerd is back again. And we're watching Oversimplified. I haven't done Oversimplified in a good while, but I've been missing his stuff. And I've been on a history kick lately. And I have never seen this thing called War of the Bucket. And everybody's been, like, everybody talked about it too, apparently. There's like a whole bunch of videos on the War of the Bucket. I don't know what the heck is going on there. So, let's check it out. I have no idea what the hell's going on, so we're just gonna dive right in. I am also going to continue the Great Northern War as well, and extra history, which is going very well. I hope more of you watch that. And I'm also continuing over analyzing Avatar. I will be coming up with like a schedule as well as more Patreon exclusive stuff, but I need to release more videos. Hopefully me and Tom will be starting on The Last of Us very soon. Maybe, I don't know. I've already watched the first episode, but I don't mind watching the first one again, obviously, because it's like, woo, video games. It's like one of my favorite video games of all time. And they recreated it almost flawlessly. So I gotta watch that with him. I gotta help him with that. We're gonna get on to episode 2. Maybe we'll be on to episode 3 since it's Saturday. But you know, hopefully I'll be out there for you guys. So please smash that like button if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content, and subscribe if you think I deserve it. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I could use y'all help. With that out of the way, let's get into it, y'all. What?
Alright folks, gather round. I've got some good news and some bad news. Did you say good news and glad news? No, I said good news and bad news. Very bad news. Word on the street is there's going to be a horrible plague coming in from Central Asia in the next couple decades that'll wipe out half of Europe. What's the good news? Do you have a cure? Please say you have a cure.
Hell no.
No. Even better. The good news is we've got a new bucket for this city well.
Huh?
To understand the War of the Bucket, we first need to talk about this guy. He's the man with the plan, the host with the most. He's holy, lowly. He eats ravioli with the white cassock, matching Pellegrino, and the most tasteful of fringed fascias. Come on, y'all know who I'm talking about. It's the Pope, the head of the largest religious organization in the world. But what if I told you he wasn't always the big bad boy powerhouse he's often thought as today? That's right. Throughout history, the Pope...
It's not anyone has a spare hat. That's the guy. That guy's from India, isn't he? I'm assuming. Don't make me out to be a racist.
Papacy often found itself forced to wrestle against adversity and opposition to retain its authority. The earliest popes, for example, suffered under the brutal persecution of the...
That's true, because as religious as many of the people were in during these times, they're always like, you know, hey, I should be the leader. I should be this. I should be that. You know.
Roman Empire, and many ended up martyred, such as Pope Clement I, who was ostensibly thrown into the sea with an anchor around his neck. On the bright side, however, he's now the patron saint of fishermen. After persecution finally ended, the Pope still found himself being heavily controlled by secular kings and nobility. For over 2 centuries, the Byzantine emperor basically decided who could become Pope. Then came a real low point during what has been called the Dark Age, a period where noblewomen controlled the Pope through, how should I put this? Feminine charm. It was around here that one infamous Pope, John XII, took office. This bad boy would hold, how should I put this? Naughty no-clothes parties in the Lateran Palace. And apparently, this would even happen. Come on, Zeus. Give me a 6. Did I say Zeus?
What do you even know, Zeus?
Thor. Ra, the Egyptian sun god?
How?
Dang it, who is it we worship? Perhaps you should read this, Your Holiness. In the beginning, God created the heavens... and the earth? Wow, this is wild.
Just shocking.
Eventually died exactly how he lived, caught in the act by an irate husband who picked the Pope up and chucked him out the window. The point I'm trying to make here is that often the Pope was a very weak and corruptible figure and was regularly used and controlled by secular leaders as a tool to...
Yeah, that kind of reminded me... That kind of reminded me of that joke in the original not the original Pink Panther, the Steve Martin Pink Panther. I don't know, it's the one joke that, like, I was mostly laughing. I was like, but then this joke came out and I was dying. I was dying, and I remember my friend Matt, who was like sitting right next to me, he was dying too. We were just dying in the movie theater. It was great.
And corruptible figure, and was regularly used and controlled by secular leaders as a tool to increase their own power and influence. And there was certainly an element of that in the year 800, when the Pope and the Kingdom of the Franks were good BFF, and King of the Franks, Charlemagne, was like, hey man, being King of the Franks is nice and all, but
I know this. This is when the guy tries to burn the Pope in the eye, and Charlemagne comes to his rescue, and he becomes the first Roman Emperor, the Holy Roman Empire. Holy Roman Emperor.
Want more legitimacy, and also to become the continuation of the Roman Empire. So what say in return for my protection, you crown me Emperor so everyone will respect me more? Sure thing, pal. We'll hold the ceremony tomorrow. Charlemagne, King of the Franks, I hereby crown you Emperor of the West. Oh my goodness. I was not expecting this at all. What a surprise. I simply cannot accept. Oh. Okay then, I guess I'll just put this back over here. Give me that crown! Charlemagne's crowning as emperor was certainly an historic moment, but it also created a bit of an interesting problem. It set the precedent that from here on out, only the Pope could crown an emperor, but the Pope was also very much under the influence and control of Charlemagne. So who really held the power here? The Pope or the Emperor? I'm sure that this conflict won't cause anyone to die. Bishop of Freising, we want to thank you once again for visiting our wonderful city. It's been an honor. The pleasure is all mine.
I forgot all about this bucket thing.
I've seen the city walls, I've seen the towers, nothing could top that. Oh, couldn't it? Because we've saved the best for last. Ta-da! Yes, that's very interesting. What? Isn't it the greatest thing you've ever seen?
It's a bucket.
Well, I mean, it is just a bucket. Get him out of here! Over time, Charlemagne's position as emperor and the kingdom of the Franks gradually evolved into the Holy Roman Empire. And by now, the Pope and the Emperor weren't such good friends anymore, since neither could agree on who was the boss of who. To make matters worse...
See, I can never understand why Charlemagne was no longer in control of France when, or before he died or something, or why that never became part of... I don't know. I guess he was in control of France because that's what he was, the king of the Franks. Yeah, he was... It was mostly France, but it was some of Germany too, so what the hell? Or most of Germany? I gotta do more research on that, but that is very interesting times, and I always... loved the story of Charlemagne and him being literally the father of Europe.
The emperor had taken to investing his own bishops and abbots. What does that mean? Well, allow me to explain. The problem for the Holy Roman Emperor was his empire wasn't really an empire, so much as a nightmarish federation made up of hundreds of counties, that was Germany, duchies, bishoprics, Italy, and more. The princes in charge of these local regions often didn't give the emperor their loyalty. The German nobility spent a lot of their time rebelling against the emperor, and the emperor spent a lot of his time trying to put down those rebellions. Can we get rid of them? Who? All the nobility. Get rid of them and pick new ones who are loyal to me. You can't just remove noble families from their territory. Please? Aw, okay, how about this? Some of those territories are ruled by bishops and abbots, and as Holy Roman Emperor, considered by many to be the deputy of Jesus Christ himself, perhaps you can choose who gets to become bishop and abbot. Yay! Now it's time to turn out the lights and go to sleep. Okay, I love you. Okay, good night. Say it back. And so it was. The emperor invested his own family and loyal followers into powerful church positions, and thereby was able to increase his own power and authority. Not only that, but the emperor and other nobility were also engaging in something called simony. That's when someone would come along and say, hey, I want to become a bishop and get all the personal riches that come with the position. Perhaps we could come to some kind of... arrangement. That's right. Church positions were actually being sold to the highest bidder. And
that continued on. That was a lot more common than you guys think. Like, that continued on into the Renaissance, and I believe that it continued all the way up to like the 17 or 1800s. Not the infallible Christ symbol that the Pope is today, huh?
Let me tell you, they probably didn't come cheap. Wait a minute, this is depravity. The purpose of the church isn't for him to increase his own authority and power, it's for me to increase my own authority and power. What about Jesus, Your Holiness? What? I thought the purpose of the church was to spread the good message of Jesus Christ. How drunk are you? Very.
What?
All right, the results for the election...
They were drunk?
Very. All right, the results for the election of Chief Magistrate are in. Giovanni Kablami, 1%. Spaghetti Jeff, 2%.
What?
And the bucket, 1,000,000,000,000%. Around the year 1050, a series of reformist popes came along, and
sense.
they said enough was enough.
Wait,
they
who
want
are these
1050. A series of reformist popes came along, and they said enough was enough. They wanted to stop the emperor from abusing the church and investing his own church officials. How are you going to stop me so long as I have control over who becomes pope? Remember the circular power division? If you try to stop me, I'll just depose you and pick someone else. Oh no, I've contracted tuberculosis. And just like that, the emperor was dead.
Really?
His 6-year-old son, Henry IV, took over. And as we all know, child emperors equal opportunity. The church had an opening to take back control of the papacy. Hey man, I hope you don't mind, but we're changing the rules so that only the church cardinals can elect the pope, and you no longer have any say in the matter. You know, if that's cool with you. I peed my pants. Okay, great talk. Then, with the position of the Pope a little more secure, he held a big meeting where he drew up a big list.
I still don't understand how people could even back then just let a child rule, you know? And, like, some of that stuff happens in Game of Thrones, too. Like, a couple of times, actually. Like, 2 or 3 times. Joffrey, for one. And look at the madness that happened while he was in charge. I mean, like... We criticize how bad things got in Game of Thrones, but it doesn't seem much different than our own world, huh?
Of all the reforms and new powers he was giving himself, and it included some pretty gnarly stuff. Okay, first, I have the power to depose emperors. Everyone cool with that?
Okay.
Yeah?
But, wait.
Let's see. Only I can depose or reinstate bishops. Yeah?
That makes sense.
Alright, no one can judge me. All princes shall only kiss my feet. Only my name shall be spoken in the churches. My name is the only name in the world. Okay, I think you're done. These were all some pretty radical powers the Pope was giving himself. And with these reforms, the Pope was basically telling the Emperor, you no longer have the right to choose your own bishops and abbots. Only I can do that. When the Emperor, now a full-grown man, heard the news, he was furious. What? This is madness! Who does this guy think he is? I'm the Emperor, for goodness sake. He can't tell me what to do. I'll invest my own bishops and abbots if I want to, and this rapscallion can go right to heck! I peed my pants again! The whole conflict escalated when Henry IV went to the Pope and said, hey, guess what, sucker? You're deposed. Oh. Wait a minute. I'm the Pope. You can't depose me. You're deposed. Oh. Wait a minute. I'm the Emperor. You can't depose me.
It's gonna keep
You're
going
deposed.
on and on and on and on.
Oh. Wait a minute. Eventually, the German princes took advantage of the situation, and they all turned against Henry. Henry was forced to apologize to the Pope, and the whole thing ended there. Except it didn't. The whole conflict, known today as the investiture controversy, would continue on for centuries as popes and emperors engaged in a power struggle over the emperor choosing his own church officials. The overall result of this conflict is very intricate and full of complexities, but in general, the Pope was able to increase his authority. Great news, Your Holiness. Your influence is on the rise throughout civilized Europe, except for this one city in northern Italy.
Oh
really?
My God, is it
What's
the bucket
going on
one?
there?
Oomka, 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 oomka.
As for the
Wait,
emperor,
I've seen that
he
before.
found his reign thrown into further chaos and civil war, as the local princes continued to increase their own power and independence. This was most notably the case in northern Italy. Separated from the rest of the Holy Roman Empire by the Alps, the emperor's influence and control over Italy had often been questionable. In the current chaos, these Italian city-states began operating almost entirely independently. Their practical independence was further solidified when Emperor Frederick Barbarossa came down in 1176 to try to reassert his control. The cities formed an alliance, and with the Pope's support, they kicked the emperor right back to Germany. Hooray, said the Italian city-states. We did it! We're the best of friends.
No, you're not.
And then they immediately began attacking each other. Why? Well, this whole Pope versus Emperor thing, in Italy at least, had infiltrated society to its very core. Across Italy, families and cities were torn between two opposing sides. On one side, the Guelphs, who supported the Pope's cause. On the other, the Ghibellines, who supported the Emperor. These two sides struggled for control, as Guelph cities battled against Ghibelline ones. As usual, personal interest played a pretty big role. as pro-Pope Guelph
So did
cities
Genoa
tended
just
to be
win
rich
or something?
mercantile ones who didn't like the emperor's taxes. Emperor-supporting Ghibellines, on the other hand, were often agricultural, where the expanding papal states were a larger threat. These cities would sometimes even switch sides depending who was in charge and their ever-changing personal interests. In some cities, brutal fighting broke out in the streets as opposing families fought for control. At times, the conflict became so tribal that the differences between the two sides were just downright silly.
Okay.
My love, I can't bear it. We must be together. But how can we?
Why do they keep
My Ghibelline
exploding?
family wears feathers on the left side of their caps, and your Guelph family wears them on the right. My Ghibelline family cuts fruit straight down, and your Guelph family cuts fruit crosswise. These are arbitrary differences. We shouldn't let them tear us apart. We can be together no matter what our families think. Wonderful news. Let's make a toast to our love. I'll drink from my Ghibelline smooth
not
goblet,
gonna go well.
and I shall drink from my Guelph chaste goblet. Get out of my sight, you dirty Pope-loving wench. Two city-states in particular that got caught in a long-standing rivalry was the Emperor supporting Modena and the Pope supporting, bucket-loving Bologna. These two cities had bad blood between them, as they
What
had
did the
the
sign
Pope
say?
supporting, bucket-loving Bologna.
Welcome to the world's great.
Yeah. These two cities had bad blood between them, as they had already fought against each other on a number of occasions. In 1249, the two sides took part in the Battle of Fasolta, after which the victorious Bolognese launched a live donkey into Modena to humiliate them. For decades after that, the two sides would occasionally take little day trips into each
Why
other's
do things
territory
keep
and mess things
exploding?
about a bit. In the fateful year of 1325, the Bolognese went on one such trip and laid waste to some farmlands. The ruler of Modena, Passerino de Bonacolsi, was having none of it. The Bolognese had two major forts protecting their city in the southwest, so Passerino, in retaliation, decided to take an army down and lay siege to one of them. Hey, you dirty Bolognese jerks! You think you can raid our farmlands? Come out here and face me like a man! Hey man, what's up? I've just come out to let you know that there's no need to siege us because— Whoa, hey man, chill out. I'm trying to tell you— Whoa, stop doing that. I'm trying to tell you I'm actually secretly sympathetic to the Imperial cause and I want to willingly hand the fort over to you. Oh, cool. Okay.
Alright.
Dude, what was that for? For betraying your people. And this is for joining mine. Mwah. The Bolognese were pretty unhappy to lose
Could've
one
done
of their
without
main
the punch.
defensive forts, but to make matters worse, then this happened. Hey, wait a minute.
The bucket's gone.
Where's the bucket? Oh no, it's gone. Those Modenese must have taken it. We'll make them pay. This is unacceptable. They may take our lives. They may take our fort, but they will never take our bucket. Oh wait, here it is.
No?
I
Oh,
found it,
shit.
guys. It's right here. Phew. Could you imagine if we started a war over that? That would have been really stupid, and there'd probably be a billion videos about it on YouTube.
I
one
know,
day.
I saw
Thank
those
goodness
videos.
It never actually happened. That's right. The famous story you may know about the War of the Bucket, that the war started because Modena stole Bologna's bucket, doesn't actually seem to be quite right.
Yeah,
I was
right?
surprised to find that the bucket was likely not actually stolen at the start of the war. And at this point, I want to thank and give a big shout out to fellow history YouTuber M. Laser. He's the one guy I found who actually translated a fantastic original Italian source, and then kindly allowed me to use his work in my own research. He does really well researched and in-depth videos,
Really?
and definitely deserves way more subscribers, so please head on over and check him out. The real reason Bologna seems to have declared war on Modena is simply that they both hated each other, supported opposing factions, the Pope had called on Guelph cities to attack Passerino, and Bologna wanted its fort back. And they were gonna get it back. Bologna had a large force, much larger than what Modena could muster up, so they felt pretty confident. They sent half their force to lay siege and take back the fort, and the other half took defensive positions to prevent the Modenese from crossing the river. The smaller Modenese force were struggling to find a place to cross, so one night they were like, "Hey guys, look out, we're attacking way up here in the north, better move your troops." Oh, would you look at that? That was easy. And just like that, the Modenese were across the river. The Bolognese were probably expecting the Modenese to come and break their siege, but instead, the Modenese went for the second fort at Zappolino. Bologna couldn't afford to lose both of its defensive forts, so the entire Bolognese force moved to take defensive positions at Zappolino. When the Modenese arrived, it was already late in the day, and there were about 2 hours of sunlight left. In most medieval battles, at this point, both sides would set up a camp, rest for the night, and prepare for battle the next day. But the outnumbered Modenese decided the only way to win was to deal a quick, decisive blow while the Bolognese were still unorganized and unprepared, and that's exactly what they did. They charged at the Bolognese line, and the two sides engaged in fierce combat. Then the sneaky Modenese pulled what must be the most predictable, yet somehow consistently surprising move in medieval warfare. They sent the cavalry around the side and hit them from behind. Bing bang bong, The Bolognese went on the run. With casualties in the thousands, Modena had won, and the Modenese cavalry chased the Bolognese cavalry all the way back to the city. After Modena's victory, they went on a tour of the Bolognese countryside, burning some stuff down along the way. When they reached the city itself, instead of laying siege, they set up a camp and basically held a massive party for 3 days. The defeated Bolognese could only sit back and watch. As the Modenese force began packing up and getting ready to leave, they noticed something. Oh my gosh. Hey, check this out.
Why is the bucket outside?
No way. Are you kidding me? They're still using traditional wells. Hey, you dumb Bolognese. Ever heard of an artesian well? You can't even get water out of the ground without using a stupid bucket. It's not a stupid bucket. It's a wonderful bucket. Yeah, whatever, bucket boy. We're taking this with us. So Modena stole Bologna's bucket and put it up on display in their cathedral, eventually moving it to the city hall, where it remains on display to this day. The two cities came to a peace settlement a few months later. Bologna would have to pay heavy war reparations, and in exchange, Modena would return all conquered territories. Modena kept the bucket. Despite being one of the bloodiest battles in medieval Italian history, it didn't really change anything, except now Modena had Bologna's bucket. As for the larger power struggle between the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, that would continue on for some time and played a part in many major events of medieval history.
What? How does this...
Such as the Crusades, the Protestant Reformation, eventually leading to the general separation of church and state we see in Europe today. So there you have it. We learnt about the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, the investiture controversy, and finally, the War of the Bucket. It's been a long day, and it's time to turn out the lights and go to sleep. Okay, I love you. Okay, good night. Say it back!
Boy, I swear, I'm gonna have to end up naming a lot of my videos. Why are people so freaking stupid? Like, man, but... Doesn't that like the whole thing, it just sounds like modern politics right now, the whole being pissed off over something really stupid, but it just infects the world or the country as a whole, and really they're arguing about things that really don't necessarily concern them, but yet it's the most important thing in their lives. It really just brings more problems than it earns, you know? But yeah, that was a really interesting video. I had no idea that was going to be so intricate. I thought it was just about a war over a bucket in Italy. So yeah, that's what I saw about some of these videos. So, I mean, yeah, I guess I was misinformed. But yeah, I want to learn more about the investiture controversy and the Holy Roman Empire, because I know a little bit about the Holy Roman Empire, but just more about the Holy Roman Emperors, the Habsburgs, and eventually its death at the hands of Napoleon, which it was able to stand for 1,000 years. And obviously I know about Charlemagne, but I didn't know about some of this stuff. So it's really more stuff that I would love to learn more about. Hey, you got more stuff that's interesting? Mention them in the comments. So I got more videos to come up, so stay tuned for that. And please smash that like button if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content, and subscribe if you think I deserve it. And I'll see y'all in the next video.